back to the Mogul Bar Show. It's been a while since we've been around. I want to introduce you to my special guest, Nikita Chernin. If he looks young, it's because he is young. He's still in high school, which is a feat on all its own. He is the CEO and founder of StageKids.org. It is an organization that's dedicated to the promotion of theater, the arts, basically. Nikita, please tell us a little bit about yourself and StageKid, how StageKid came to be, and everything that you're hoping to do, because I think it's an amazing story for somebody your age to be involved in theater, the arts, and its promotion at such a young age.
Well, I've always loved theater. That's always been something that I've really been passionate about myself. And one of the things that you hear a lot is you want to find something to do that you like doing, so it doesn't feel like you work a single day in your life, something like that. I think it's the Steve Jobs quote,
Yes.
Something along the lines of that. I really love theater, so I knew that I needed to find something in that space. But I also knew that personally, I really like teaching and stuff like that, teaching people, things like that. And while I love performing, I love doing backstage work, I knew that personally, I want to do something meaningful. So that's kind of where the idea for StageKid came from. I've done theater for more or less my whole life, been audience member, participant in acting, I work backstage, everything, all sorts of stuff like that. But StageKid, we're a nonprofit. We are officially 501c3 nonprofit, and we have a mission to improve education through theater arts integration. Basically, we provide teachers training and classroom resources to put theater directly into the classroom. So some schools have external theater classes. They have a separate drama class or something like that. But what we're aiming to do is have it be directly into your core subject. So it's theater directly into your English, directly into your math, history, and science classes.
That's amazing. That's awesome. When you came up with the idea to start StageKid, what was your parents' reaction? B, what were the teachers that you approached reaction? And did they take you seriously? Did they say, oh, this is another student with big dreams and big ideas, it's I'll humor him? Or what was that like?
Well, my mom was really, really supportive. My mom actually, so I'm in New York, and one of the cool things, and I think most places have them, but I'm in Staten Island in New York, and we have this organization called the Staten Island Chamber of Commerce. They hosted a kind of a Shark Tank style pitch competition. So I got to meet a bunch of cool people, and I did that. And while I didn't win the pitch competition, because if you win, you get to move on, I did end up receiving the most funding out of anyone. That was really good and really interesting, and I like that a lot. I was this shows that people agree with my idea and mission. And my mom was actually the person who pushed me to go do that. I actually had a lot of pushback against going to do that whole thing. It was I really didn't want to do it because I was I don't know how to do it. I don't really have an idea. What if I mess up? But I feel I did really well. And in preparation to that, I did talk to a bunch of teachers and other people in the New York City Department of Education. And basically, my general consensus was people really liked the idea. People thought it was a really solid idea, but a lot of them had a little bit of trouble thinking how could it be executed? And I think that was because when I approached a lot of these people, I didn't have the concrete idea that it is now. It was more of kind of an abstract vision. So a lot of people were supportive, but weren't really super inclined to talk about it. It actually, one of the funny things, I don't want to call anyone out, but my assistant principal in high school, we have several, so I'm not going to name names, but I ended up talking to her about this, and she really kind of shrugged it off. She was she really shrugged it off under the notion that it's not going to get anywhere, where stuff like that. And I kind of, she gave feedback, sort of, but I kind of was okay, so maybe I just use your feedback and kind of ignore the negative stuff that you said. She kind of was we don't really want that in our classrooms. It takes away from the learning. I think right now I'm kind of proving her wrong. So
Absolutely.
I think it's gonna be very funny when I actually am trying to get a meeting with the principal. So I think it's gonna be very funny when she sees the same product that she kind of dismissed.
I think it's healthy. I think it's healthy to have somebody to have naysayers like that, because not
Hmm.
only does it help sort of push you forward, it forces you to rethink about what it is that you're pitching, to make sure it's like, okay, is this person onto something? Do they see something I don't? Or is this someone that I need to ignore? And it's a good thing to have that happen so young, because you get to know early on who are the type of people that you need to ignore, who are the type of people that you should surround yourself with, who are the people that you should listen to, and whose opinion you should value. And I'm not saying
Hmm.
that this person, because I don't know this person obviously, but I'm not saying that this person is a negative person or someone who can't provide valuable, feedback down
Feedback.
the line in the future. However, this person was clearly wrong in this in this instance, and it's just something to sort of be conscientious of as you move forward. So I do think that value that she provided was in the fact that she was wrong, because it helps you to see that and know how to deal with that. So I think that was
Hmm.
good in that sense. That's excellent.
Absolutely. I think it is important to have people that don't necessarily agree. And so far, what's really been helpful is that a lot of people have agreed, but a lot of people have also been giving like some criticism onto it and like how it's done, which is healthy. And I think that that's really important. So you can kind of figure out how to better adjust, because the whole point is you need that feedback from people and
Yeah.
reiterate it.
Yeah, absolutely. What has been the feedback like from the students? Because obviously this is going to be something in schools. So you
Hmm.
have your friends, your school friends, your neighborhood friends, or whatever. What has their feedback been like? Have they been supported? Have they been like, well, we don't want to do this. We want to do more sports, or we want to do something else? What's that been?
A lot of people have really been supportive. A lot of students seem to find it really interesting, because right now, kind of the issue that we're seeing with schools is that school teaches a lot of stuff to people that they don't necessarily find interesting, or don't necessarily like agree that this is helpful in the future.
Yeah,
And yes, some of that is true. Like not everyone needs to know like high level calculus, but they're seeing this from the student's perspective. It's just a different way to, it's a funner way to engage with school. It makes like the school day a little bit more tolerable for them. So it's for them, it's seen as more of support from like the we're not as bored in school anymore. For the teacher, it's support from I don't have to plan lessons. I can introduce theater into the classroom, introduce the arts, which is really important. So, and it saves them a lot of time, because writing lessons for teachers takes up a majority of like if a teacher is doing something, it's probably that.
yeah.
So we're just saving them like hundreds of hours of just like we're giving you the full lesson, we're compiling everything. Yeah, you as a teacher can make your own adjustments, but we're giving you all the resources for that.
No, that's pretty cool though. So obviously, New York is home base. Where do you see yourself expanding in the future? You got funding, but does that funding also allow you, in your plans, because obviously you're very intelligent and you've thought this through very, well. What's next? What's after New York?
Well, the what we're structuring everything with is the idea that everything is very scalable to the whole American education system. Because we use the Common Core standards set by the Department of Education, all of our lessons can be applicable to people in New York, someone in Alabama, someone in Texas, and someone in Washington. So it can be applicable anywhere. The one issue with it is the teacher trainings to train teachers how to effectively use these lessons and everything, which is really important. Usually, I would rather do it in person. And at the moment, kind of like the biggest issue with expanding outward is that because I'm the one personally doing these trainings with the teachers, unless we do it online, it's really hard to kind of like get somewhere else. Like I can't just get on a plane and go to Alabama, both due to reasons of like monetary issues as well as just like scheduling and everything. But the idea would be hopefully would be that we could kind of start expanding more locally. So kind of start from New York, moving out to New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and then slowly build up A, more people, and two, more funding for us to expand everywhere. Because that's really the big issue right now, is because we are a nonprofit, is like the funding. That's always like issues for nonprofits, is how do you have enough funding to both for administrative purposes and for performing your programs? Because one of the biggest expenses for a nonprofit, most of the donations to nonprofit goes to it's like 90% of it go to administrative stuff versus actually performing the mission. And
Right.
we and you for that to happen, for you to both be able to perform your mission and have this admin work being done as well, you have to have a large flow of income coming in from funding. And
Gotcha.
until we have that, it's a little bit challenging to expand. Virtually is great. If schools want to, they can.
Of
But
course.
I feel like it's always better to be there in person, be able to answer questions, be able to do our presentations in person, stuff like that. It's a lot more fun handing stuff out to people than sitting in front of a computer screen and talking to them.
Now, a more lighthearted question, but when you're, training the teachers, do you ever get a sense of joy telling the teachers, like, hands down, like, no talking or take your seat or something? It's just like, that would have been a dream of mine when I was younger in school.
Honestly, not really. I feel like one of the other things that I do like personally is stage managing. So
Yeah.
that's for shows. They have directors and they also have stage managers. So that's kind of like my passion. I do that kind of like after everything is done, and that requires a lot of that same kind of like
Yeah.
attitude. I feel like I've always had like that like managerial like aspect of myself. I really don't find like I find it sometimes even like hard to do that because I feel like this is just a personal thing, but I feel like I'm being really mean to people when I do that. I just like really don't have it in myself to be mean to like
Sure.
anyone. So that is like a little bit hard, but I don't really find much joy in like necessarily being like I can like control you or something like that.
I'm a
But
bad student. I just wanted to tell the teachers to sit down too, but no, no, you're doing it the right way, so that's good. So you're doing stage management for theater. I know you have such a strong interest in theater because you are young and you have an entire life and career ahead of you. Where do you hope Stage Kid eventually grows to? Obviously, you want it to be sort of an educational standard in schools, and I think
mhm,
that would be phenomenal. But then the flip side of that is, where do you see yourself, down the line? Do you still obviously involved in Stage Kids in some capacity, but career-wise, do you see yourself on Broadway somewhere or off Broadway somewhere, working in theater or maybe on, London working in theaters? Like, where do you hope to see yourself?
I really don't know, but I know that I still want to keep doing Stage Kid, and I really want it to be kind of like my main focus. And then, because usually how shows work is that they'll play at like nighttime or like afternoons. Like some have like matinee performances, like noon to two and stuff like that. So hopefully, we'd be doing both. That would kind of like be really fun. Really like I would love doing that. But yeah, I really hope to see myself still doing Stage Kid and definitely expanding. Kind of like one of the things that I kind of really want, and I know it's not possible now, but hopefully in the future would kind of be building a bigger team and having an actual office space. And I think that would be like really fun. And I know personally, like if that were to ever happen, like we need like a studio area for like recording stuff and everything. So it's not just like this in the background. It's a bunch of like fun stuff and everything. Yeah, that's kind of like what I see happening in the future. But
Nice,
I
nice.
really want to do a mix of both.
I mean, no, and that's great. I mean, I think when you are as creative as you are and you're able to think outside the box and see what's needed, I think the future is limitless. And being that theater obviously is such a big part of this, and Stage Kid is centered around theater, plays, etc. Have you had an opportunity to maybe speak to any production companies, regardless of size, to potentially provide funding, because this is essentially going to be beneficial
Mhm.
to that industry as a whole,
Yeah.
because this would be the future of that industry.
So provide funding. We've reached out to a few sources, and we're still talking to a few
Hmm.
um, organizations. One of like the coolest things that hopefully we can do is we've been talking to the press team for Six on Broadway, and hopefully we can meet with them and actually record some content with Six on Broadway. Six
Nice.
actually is it's about the story of the six wives of Henry VIII,
Yes.
and it's like about all their stuff. It's a big pop musical, and each of them, it's really short. It's only like 90 minutes. They don't even have an intermission. It's just like a big concert. So
Nice.
that's really, really cool.
Nice. No, that sounds cool. I mean, and that sounds great because, really, production companies, theater companies, they should be supporting, organizations like StageKid because, again, this benefits them in the long run. This is sort of to promote and add some vigor to the industry and help it grow even more than what it is already. So that's awesome. Nikita, I want to thank you. This has been amazing. What do you want to like leave people with, tell people? I would put all of your contact info in the show notes, of course, and how to find you. But I just think this is, it's amazing to talk to you because I honestly, you are further ahead than I ever was at your age. And I just like, that's so impressive just to talk to you. So thank you. But please go ahead. Anything you want to leave the audience with?
I definitely want to leave like everyone with just kind of like do what you want to be doing. I think that's kind of like the main like advice that I'm gonna like leave people with, because like I know I don't necessarily want to be, let's say, a marketer, but like like jumping in and like doing it with stuff like StageKid and like a bunch of other projects that I'm working on, it's really it like it helps you learn a lot. So and it gives you the ability to go and chase stuff that you want to be doing. I think the other big thing is definitely like speak up for yourself for like anything. That comes from just like what I did and like still do with like advocacy work. I spent like a lot of time with New York City Votes, being a kind of like a youth consultant about like strategies to engage youth. And basically, the one thing I've seen between like everything that I've been doing from all the work with StageKid and students and everything is that people aren't really speaking up for themselves and like advocating for themselves. And any position that you're in, whether that's like you're looking for like a raise or anything like that, you should really speak up for yourself. That's kind of important. So that's kind of the two big things that I want to leave people with. Definitely check out StageKid. We don't have a website yet, but hopefully we'll have that up. But right now you can check socials. It's StageKid HQ everywhere, and then the one place it's not is TikTok. It's the StageKid HQ because TikTok. So you can find all of the StageKid stuff there, and from there in the bio, StageKid is linked to all of my stuff as well. You can click it and find me and everything.
That is awesome. Nikita, thank you so much. I'm grateful that you took the time. I can't wait for the people to hear this and see what you're working on because, quite frankly, it's just utterly amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on, and I really enjoyed speaking with you.